All right, so let's talk about confidence, and let's make sure. I guess you guys talk loudly since you're not right here, but we want to talk about two things: confidence, and what it can do for you, and how it can change you and your business, and also the lack of confidence and what it does. So first of all, let's quickly just like the exercise we just did that led into this was you guys describing like me and why you think people are attracted to me. Other people who are successful house flippers tend to like gravitate towards me. Tell me a little bit of stuff, names like the words, the descriptive words that you would use to describe me. Let's go back through that exercise.
We start with efficient,
Master.
we say Delante, tactful,
Tactful.
confident, proficient, leader,
Efficient. Driven.
relatable. What's the
Purposeful,
purposeful,
relatable,
goal orientated.
gold orientated.
Goal orientated. I mean, we'll put successful. We already know that, right?
Successful. I mean, that's important.
Successful. What's some other ones? We say driven.
We did. I think we got most of them. Now,
Responsible.
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 So what we discovered as we were debriefing was that all this comes from confidence, right? I mean, confidence is the core thing that makes all these things true in me. Now, if confidence is the thing that makes me have all these attributes, then first of all, what causes confidence and what causes lack of confidence?
Well, confidence can also be like an intangible, depending on the individual and their personality. Even like you're a D, so your personality, like naturally, it's naturally easier for you to be confident in things that you do versus like another personality on the disc assessment, where like an analyzer or I would say like a high I can be confident in a way, with certain aspects of what they're doing. Like socially, they could be confident, but like when it comes to structure or anything like that, they might not be confident. But yeah, I'd say confidence can be an intangible. It can derive from your personality.
Do you think people are just born with confidence?
No, I'd say some people are, and that's why I mean like depending on your personality and who you are as a person can make you just naturally confident. Just like leaders are like natural born leaders. Like it comes from being born a leader. But
What do you think about the argument of nurture versus nature? Have you heard that some people believe you're born a certain way, other people believe that the way you were nurtured created you?
Yeah, I mean, there's people that are born confident, born aggressive, born like just driven. Doesn't mean they have anything, because just because you're born confident doesn't mean you're automatically successful. But that's a trait that you are, more well-rounded in versus other individuals who are, might naturally shy and naturally like.
So you think you're born that way? You think people, because you use the language born. Delante, what do you think?
I think the opposite. I think confidence can be in any personality type, whether you're a D or I, an S or C. I just think confidence comes from knowledge and reference experience. I feel confident in acting, but I don't feel confident in other areas of life. but that's just come from me spending hours upon hours kind of like studying the craft over the years. I would say I'm confident in that. And I think that applies for any sort of like discipline that you study. You know, I think like for guitar players, right? If you just picked up a guitar and you started playing for 5 minutes, you wouldn't go out in front of a crowd of 200 people and expect to blow the house down.
But there are people, when it comes to, like, I get what you're saying, but there are people that, and I guess I'm mainly referencing the folks that, when I say natural, they're not, like, they can go in, like, you've heard, like, it's like wholesalers sometimes. Like, they dress everything up, even though, like, when you dig deep, it ain't nothing there. There's people that can BS you, you know, and have you imagining that they are this person, but they're really not. Or they're really good at this particular thing and they're really not, but they show it enough confidence to have you believe that they are. Some personalities can start off that way. I mean, for some personalities, it's easier to be confident versus other ones. Not saying you can't put in the work or you have to put in the work, but it is easier for some people to be confident in whatever they say or whatever message they're trying to convey versus others. To be truly proficient and, confident or whatever, you still, and to be confident and to be able to back up whatever, like, you're trying to, whatever message you're trying to push, it does require the work, it does require the hours, but you can't, like, I could be confident in selling you that, that book right there, Scaling Up. I've never read it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if I'm just if I'm a confident person and I feel like confident I can sit there and talk about this book, I might be able to BS you. I might not know shit about the book.
So one thing I hear you saying, though, is that you're not, so you do actually have confidence, right? You might not have confidence in the book, but you have confidence in your skills to sell anything. So, see, you've had to learn to do that. You weren't born with that. Some people are, but I think my argument I would make is the same as Delante's. I believe more in nurture. I think that everyone has the ability to be confident. Mm-hmm. I think every personality trait has the ability to be confident. Some people might be able to fake confidence a little easier.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I'm
But
saying.
let's be honest, what that really is. That's like bravado. That's fake, like ego almost. That's actually, I think leadership. Like if you ever look at really great leaders, they're very humble. Mm-hmm. They're very self-aware. Mm-hmm. They're not pumped up and talking a lot of crap and blowing themselves up. Mm-hmm. Some of the weakest people I know are the most outspoken about how awesome they are. Mm-hmm. And the reality, like you said, deep inside, they don't have anything going on. They're hollow. Yeah. And they're unhappy too because they know there's this dissonance between them and their subconscious, knowing that they really aren't the person they're, what did he say? I'm an imposter syndrome, right? Yeah. Mike was talking about imposter syndrome. I thought that was an interesting subject because we all have it at some level because we want to reach this level of success before we ever put the work in. It's because everyone else is doing it, right? Everyone else is going on Facebook and making their marriage look like the best marriage it's ever been. I'm so in love. Like, we just have flowers falling around us as we walk through the park and and they could be. Well, I can tell you in my situation, my marriage, it was like, there was people that said, how did you guys get divorced? You guys look like the most perfect couple. And it was based on what, my ex-wife's confidence was extremely low. Mm-hmm. My confidence in the marriage was probably not that high, but her confidence, because of her mental illness, was that was one of her things that caused her to have mental illness, is that she always second guessing and lack of confidence, lack of wondering did I love her? Will I be around? All these things drove her crazy, essentially. And do many people, by the way, right? Many people struggle with it, but true confident leaders are willing to say that I'm not great at something, but I'm on my journey. And then people are attracted to them, right? So I think it's this. And who do you learn that from? Do you think you're just born out the womb? Or do you learn it from watching your father, your mother, your uncle, your friends, the people you've been exposed to in life, your mentors? Yeah. Right? These are the people that help shape who you are and how you see life. Mm-hmm. And that's where confidence comes from. It's the ability to admit when you're wrong and know that you're on the journey and not be butthurt about it. But sometimes we have parents that want us to be perfect, that want themselves to be perfect. And then they take that thing that they think is like the way things are supposed to be, and then they give it to us. And we inherited it. But through nature, not through DNA. Like, we're not inheriting character traits through DNA. We're not inheriting fear from DNA. We're not inheriting, like, hey, you must get a job, don't be an entrepreneurial. That doesn't come from DNA. That comes from 50 years of people like that being the way that everyone knows, right? That's the belief system that everyone's followed. And now you're doing something completely outside of the belief system, and it's just messing with their head. Like, totally just throwing them off. Like, Rashaad, what are you doing? What? You're going to work for Michael Green? Like, are you going to get a paycheck every week? I mean, kind of we are doing that almost just to make you feel good. Like, while we're weaning you out of the system, we got him, like, in the Matrix right now. He's all bald, naked, right? And he's like Neo, right? Where he's coming out the thing. We got the plug. We're pulling it out slow. We don't want to just pull it out and throw him in. We want Rashaad to, like, feel it. But, like, think about why we're doing that. Right? Because we didn't want to just throw you out of the Matrix and just have you like, you know, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Because, like, it takes some time. This is a lifetime of beliefs that our family, friends, everything we've ever thought. College teaches you this. I mean, the world teaches you this because guess what we need more of? We need more employees than we need entrepreneurial people. Mm-hmm. Right? We need more employees. But unfortunately, me and Delante were talking about this earlier. My belief is that only about a third of people, like if you take 100 people, only about 33 of them are actually uniquely qualified to be employees. But we need 99 employees to every 100 people. We need one entrepreneurial, we need 99 employees in order for things to run correctly. So what do we have to do as a society? We have to convince everyone they should be an employee. The way to go is to get a nice steady job and get all that.
Go to school, get a job.
Get a college degree, right?
Work your job.
Yeah. We even to some level make you feel like you're a failure if you don't go to college and you don't get a degree. Mm-hmm. You're looked down on. There's people on Tinder, girls on Tinder, is like, if you don't have a degree, don't even swipe me.
If you don't have your job position posted on the description, then I'm not hollering at you.
Yeah, is that crazy or what, though? Really think about that level of belief and how it affects us, and it affects our confidence, by the way.
Some people won't talk to you if you don't have a job. Look at the banks.
The banks, everyone, the
banks
whole
banks
credit.
Make it hard to lend to you or whatever if you don't have.
They won't let you buy something you can't afford if you don't have, if you're not plugged into the matrix, essentially. Which could be a very good thing, by the way. I mean, maybe that's better than we even know, but the thing is, they won't give you credit if you haven't went in debt.
If you're not a part of this rat race, then you're kind of like an outsider.
Yeah.
Unless you're successful at what you're doing.
Yeah, until you become successful and you clearly can show that, okay, I'm really, really thriving outside the box.
Yeah.
Right? And then, but your journey to where you're trying to get there, you're like a pariah, essentially. I mean, and so, like, when we talk about confidence, this is a really big subject when we talk about confidence, right? Because confidence is, like, it comes from being accepted into your peer group. And, like, what peer group, like, are we normally part of? Like, what is your peer group? You both went to college, right? So, for the most part, your peer group are your people from college or your latest.
Job.
They all got jobs, right?
Everybody's got a job.
Except for used to.
What kind of confidence does it take to unplug from the matrix?
I mean, first of all, you have to. I think he's seeing someone else do it, right? I mean, confidence comes from, like, we need visuals. Like, one of our 6 human needs. Delante, tell them the 6 human needs. What are they? You got them down. Like, or you can read them. Certainty is like, so no, right now we need certainty. What does job give us, right? Mm-hmm. What does following the crowd give you? Well, if everyone else has got a job and get a white picket fence and a car, right? That's what works. I'm very certain that's what works. Mm-hmm. But hey, I'm going to flip houses. Well, yeah, not so much, because I've seen a lot of people fail at it. However, you guys meet me and you see someone that, like, is not failing at it, has done it. I inspire in you the belief that you can do it also. And next thing you know, what do you have?
Just like deals.
A flipped house.
Yeah. You have a flipped house. But
just
what else?
Like
what do you have? What
confidence.
You have confidence, but
just
you
like
also
deals.
What 6 human need do
certainty.
You start to have certainty, right?
Well,
that this could work, because I've seen it work. Now, I've seen it work with someone that not just someone on a YouTube ad who's trying to sell me a course, a guru trying to sell me a course. I've seen someone in real life do it. So
it's just like,
yeah.
So when deals, when people say there's no deals, da 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 da, like before I got like in the game, I could tell you, like, I don't know where to get deals, I don't know where I could find deals, blah blah blah, all these excuses. But you can't tell me now, after going through the last 5 months, that there ain't no deals out here. there's people who wholeheartedly believe that there's no deals. They can't do this, they can't find financing, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it done.
Well, Rashaad a year ago, Rashaad 1.0, right?
It was actually.
If we went back a
almost
year ago and we
It was a
asked
year ago.
Rashad, like, dude, how many can you find like 20 some deals in a couple months?
Fuck it.
You wouldn't have thought
Oh
that
no,
1.0,
no, no!
right? Now 2.0 Rashad, like, yeah, no problem. I just found 4 like last week and a half. Big change in confidence, though, right? Are you now? Would you say like where would you say on a scale of 1 to 10 you were a year ago on confidence, as far as confidence in finding deals?
I remember it was exactly a year ago. It was probably like a 2, 3.
And where are you at now?
I'd say like a 7, 8. Like if you ask, if Mike said, "Hey, you have a week to find a deal, one deal," I'd be like, "Bet." I'd be 10. I wouldn't say 10, but I'd be like 8 to 9 confident that I could find me a deal in a week through whatever resources I need to find or that are available to me. But I feel like I can find a deal.
Now, my interesting question I want to ask you now is: you said 8, 9 in your confidence.
You said 7, by the way, 7.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get real. It wasn't 8 or 9. 8 or 9 is a lot better than 7, right?
Well, why not 10?
Yeah, what would it take to be a 10?
I guess I misinterpreted that. Oh, not misinterpreted that, but I probably misspoke because
I mean,
I
if you
don't want to say 10 because I'm trying to be a little.
But that's the thing
You're
about it,
flip-flopping.
right? If Mike had the same question, Mike would say probably like 11.
Yeah.
Like
Internally, I
and
feel
what
like
does
10.
it?
Yes.
What does it take? What does it take that 1 to 2 points? Because like I think that's a huge factor in your certainty.
Mm-hmm.
That 1 to 2 points is like the determining factor for someone to say, "Fuck this, I'm done with my job."
That could also be the
Boom.
determining factor between making an extra 10K a year versus 100K.
Yeah.
So you know what I hear him saying right now is that what I'm hearing is there's a difference between confidence and like deep confidence, right? True confidence. Like the 10 is like 100% yes, I know I can find deals. That's not something I ever waver on ever because I got so much data, so much knowledge, so much ability to know that if the market completely changed, I'd have the ability to like hack the code and figure out what it would take in a new market to make it work. That's what we need, right? We need that level of confidence. Now, the level of confidence that you have, 7, I think that's a very valid level, by the way, because you're not at a 10.
Yeah,
You've only been doing this a couple months, right? You've done really great things. So, yes, logically, you know you can do it, but internally in your soul, you don't know in your soul yet you can do it. It's so ingrained into you. You don't, you could be like, maybe I had a lucky run, right?
I did have a lucky run, and then I went ghost for like a month and a half.
No, but there's no lucky runs, right? We put the work in. The way this works is we put consistent work in, and then we get the results. And they don't always come like, a paycheck every week. They sometimes come like, hitting the lottery, kind of like hitting bingo or something. They just, unfortunately, that's how this business works. And we learn to accept that. And once we understand that, then more certainty is created because where a lot of our lack of certainty around finding deals comes from is when we go a month and we don't find a deal. Dave, our old acquisitions guy before you, he would sometimes go a month. I think his strength was he could stay like very focused and on task and, not give up. He would be like, dude, it's been a month. But at the same time, like me and him would dig in, and next thing you know, deals would just come. Because we would have realized that, okay, maybe we're doing it like okay right now. Let's step it up a little. And when we stepped it up, like whenever we focused on finding deals came. Like whatever we focus on, it spans. So deep confidence comes from having a process that you've understand 100%, you've tested, you've seen it work, and then you've watched it work repeatedly.
Yeah.
So we almost I'm glad we're recording this because we should definitely write that down because that's a serious, and that's where true confidence comes in. Now, we talk about confidence, right? This became a pretty long talk about confidence, but you need this confidence throughout your business, right? Now, we talked about finding deals, but how about with contractors? Let me ask you, where do you think you are as far as a 1 to 10 on managing contractors?
Maybe a 4.
Okay.
5.
How about you?
Like a 3 or 2.
Where do you guys put me at?
10.
I mean, I'd probably put myself in an 8, right? But I have room to grow. I believe that. But I'm really good at it. But at the same time, I'm improving, right? I'm on a journey. I want to get better. But yeah, I think most people consider me a 10, and I'm personally always like to put myself a little lower so I got something to work on, because I like staying on the journey, right? I want to be on the journey. But with that being said, why do you think that I'm a 10, or what do you think makes me a 10, and why?
Because like you can develop. I think you can develop when it comes to different subjects. You can develop quicker than others, right? Because when it comes to finding deals and things like some subjects, like it's directly, I hope I'm wording this right, like it's more based on you, right? When it comes to contractors, like your success is dependent on somebody else and your ability to influence them and things like that, and that doesn't come easy, and that doesn't come easy, and it also requires a lot of experience, right? I just like how quick I went from a 2 to a 3 in finding deals, and then I go to like a 7 that happened in a span of a year. I've been dealing, with contractors. I don't think in that amount of time, a year's time, you can easily jump from a 2 to a 7. It's just leading people. You can't you can't be proficient in leading people in a year's span time, or even, a short amount of time. That takes a long time. So to be able to jump the spectrum from the bottom to, the near top, it's harder in certain subjects than versus other subjects. Like I can learn how to ride a bike and go from being, not knowing how to ride a bike in a day to learning how to ride a bike in a week, and go from a 0 to a 10. Versus contracting and leading folks, I might be at a 2 this year, but in order for me to get to an 8 where Mike's at, it might take me 10 years. It took you.
So I want to like just talk about a couple points that you're making that I think are really important. One is that, to be fair, the amount of hours you spent on being better at managing contractors is very small compared to the amount of hours you spent on acquisitions and finding deals. Right. So you improved a lot faster at one because of the time you put into it, the energy you put into it. The contractor thing's been something you've been doing on the side, right? So it's only represented like a very small portion of your hours. Right, so maybe that's why you've only taken a small jump in a year, because I think everything comes from just our experience, right? How many hours do we have in it? We've always heard it takes 10,000 hours to master stuff. I think that I don't really believe that, by the way. I do believe that if you had 1,000 hours with a mentor or 500 hours with a mentor, you could do what most people have taken 10,000 hours. And some people do things for 10,000 hours and they're not learning based. They're repeating the same stuff over and over for 10,000 hours. Like that's a very different way to look at it. Secondarily, a lot of what I think we can circle back to, if you say I'm a 10 as a manager of contractors, I believe I'm an 8, but let's just say I'm good at it, right? We'll leave it at that. One of the reasons I would say, and I also am going to agree with your reason, but one of the foundational reasons I think I'm good at it is because of all the things you said, all the personality traits that I've had to learn and I've had to grow and sharpen up in me. Right? I wasn't born confident. I wasn't born being able to articulate things and communicate with people and connect with people and be a leader. I was definitely not born that person, right? My family did not give that to me. My mom was a great mother, and my father actually probably took a lot of my confidence, because what happens when your father is not in your life and doesn't show up to things and tells you he's going to come get you and then doesn't, what do you think you're left as? Like a 6 to 8 year old kid, you're left thinking am I good enough?
Yeah.
Why doesn't he love me? What is it? Why doesn't he want to be around me? Right? It's rejection, essentially. And then you go through life and you get in trouble, and society rejects you, and you take this path that is not very productive. So confidence, I would say to 20 some years old, I didn't have a lot of confidence, right? My confidence was fake confidence, right? It might have been some ego or me walking around acting confident, but at the core of me, what was driving me to be an unproductive citizen of society who got in trouble with the law and didn't really keep great friendships or relationships had a lot to do with my lack of confidence, right? It always has to do with our lack of confidence. It wasn't until I went on a journey of self-discovery and really trying to understand myself and what made me tick and hey, am I really trying to make money or am I trying to be significant? Right? Really what I found was that one of our 6, human needs, significance is one of them, Well, a lot of what I do is about being significant, right? It's about like being important or being looked at, not, having other people validate me as the person I want to be, confident and a leader and all that.
Right.
Like some level, we all chase that. Like we want to be popular, right? This is another human need, is community, right? We need community. We need to be accepted in our community. That's in our DNA, by the way. There's certain things I'll tell you that I think are nature, but there are DNA things, right? And being accepted in your community is something that comes back from the caveman days. Like if you were in the caveman like tribe or whatever they called it, and you weren't accepted in the community, you likely were going to die. Like you were not going to, it's a survival instinct that has been ingrained in us over millions of years, right? It's just something we can't really escape. And that's why it's important to us to be accepted. It's also why we're the leading race, right? I mean, that's why monkeys don't run the world, or cheetahs, but humans run this earth for a reason, because of our ability to connect in community and learn from each other and grow together, right? And in communities, we're stronger. We protect each other. Like animals don't have the ability to get in a community and start to dominate, break things down, and strategize and do the things, create buildings and trains and technology. Like they don't have that ability, and that all that came from us being part of a community, right? Scientists community, the scientific community, or the medical community.
Community
like think about
breeds
that.
confidence as well.
It does, because if we're doing what everyone else is doing in our community, we can go from, let's say, our community of like, oh, my friends I went to college with who all got jobs, and now I'm going to go into real estate investing. Well, that's not going to give me confidence. But imagine when you jump in the community you're in now, right? The community of other people doing the same thing as you, and you see them having success. You see me having success every day. Your confidence goes sky high because you're seeing other people doing it.
Mastermind, but look at the meetups, right? Most of the people come to the meetups and spend that extra time after the meetup trying to get to know Delante, get to know you, get to know me, or whoever else is in the room that is proficient in this space. They spend the extra time because they would like to be a part of this community. They want to get in, right? That's why you see folks, they don't have that community. Like I didn't have it, and I realized, I was like, I'm only going to be successful, not only, but I feel like I could be, what would help me a lot more with confidence and all that great stuff is if I'm actually immersed in a community. Because a year ago, I wasn't. I was doing it by myself. Nobody there, the closest person was 1,000 miles away on a phone call. That didn't give me confidence in what I was doing here. So I felt like, okay, I need to be a part of I need to be a part of the real estate community. So that's when I did start going to the meetups. I did start going to, Spirits West and all that kind of stuff. And then like coming to your meetups and like spending extra time trying to talk to you guys after the meetups and stuff, because I wanted to be a part of the community because I didn't have it. And then I become a part of the community, and then, there's a little bit more confidence involved when I do certain things, or like even now, like I feel a lot more confident because of who I'm surrounded by, who I know, versus a year ago when I didn't know nobody and I didn't have anybody. So it can, community does breed confidence. And that's something that people actively chase. That's why you see folks always calling you, always wanting to be involved in what you're doing, saying what you do.
When I call them back, I'm not letting them in the community. And that's like, seriously, I need to stop that. I actually need to understand the value of the community we're creating and empower that community more. Because I'm just giving knowledge, giving free stuff, and teaching and helping people as a way of giving back for me personally, which is actually very selfish in general, because I'm just like trying to like make myself happy by helping others, right? Well, truly creating the community is like where everyone can help each other, and it's not just limited to my help, right? It's where Rashaad can help, Delante can help. Like you guys are all helping each other. That's the highest level of power. That's really what I want to create now that I'm getting clear about how powerful it could be for everyone and the changes it could create in the community, and like how much we need a community. Like you're right. So hey, we actually got a phone call and messed up our recording, but bear with us and jump back in. So essentially what we were talking about, though, is the ability of having a community, having accountability in the community is what Rashaad wanted to talk about. And it really comes down to, like, if we just want to like summarize this so we don't go on forever, but if you have confidence in your process, you're seeing other people do things, you see how they're doing it, and you can map out in your head, your brain can know, like, this is the clear path of what to do, how to do it. Once you understand that, then you're able to make it happen. Now, one thing we haven't talked about is like how much of this lack of confidence comes from our upbringing, our family members telling us that, like, okay, don't do that, or telling us, hey, stop being a bad kid, right? I mean, we were not. This was a common way to raise people. Is like, if you read the book Mindset, Mindset talks about the way we parent is we give people like, hey, stop acting out. We don't encourage people. We try to limit their behavior and limit, like, don't embarrass me. You're embarrassing me. When a kid's just being free and being themselves and having fun and being a kid, right? And we do it because we don't want our kids to look like they're bad and out of control, because that makes us feel like we're a bad parent. But really, the kid's being a kid, and we stop them. A choice, when we were in our emotional intelligence training, one of the things I've seen that I thought was like interesting to me that I'd never seen before is the kids were just running around breakdancing while people were talking and speaking like heartfelt stuff. And I thought, like, at first I was like, that's kind of rude. Like, control your kids, right? I was a little judgmental, and then I realized, like, okay, maybe I'm getting it wrong. Like, these kids were very well developed and very good kids, and they just let them be kids. Like, the kids didn't need to be, they were there, but they didn't need to be like serious adults. They were supposed to be kids. 6 years old, you're supposed to be a kid. You're not supposed to be making life decisions and all that. You're supposed to just be having fun and enjoying yourself, being yourself. And imagine if a parent is supportive of that and that growth, and like, which very few are. Not the fault of the parent, by the way. I'm not saying people are bad parents. I just think that the way we've learned from generations of people doing things a certain way, we've learned that to be the standard of how you raise a kid. Now, I think people are starting to look at things very differently. So there's some stuff I think we need to break out of. I think there's some like ingrained patterns that we've been taught that we need to break out of. And Mindset is a great book that really talks about getting out of that fixed mindset where we, give people awards for, passing a test, or getting, here you go to college for a subject that you probably will never even like work within. Like, you probably go to, get like a general education or like these things. You probably never even have a job related to it. But here, let me give you a big reward for spending like $30,000 or whatever it costs to go to college. I wouldn't even know, in 4 years of your life. And let me also give you the social status of you having a degree. But meanwhile, you can't get a job, right? You can't go to work. So there's a lot of stuff. I mean, this is a longer conversation, but it really comes down to confidence. I think that if we know what we're doing, we know how to do it, we have a community supporting us and showing us that this thing works, and that if it doesn't work, the community will solve the problem of why it's not working, then you're in a very unique position to be empowered to be great at something. Versus if you keep yourself around people who are telling you can't do it, that's just not going to happen. And it's the reason you hear this saying all the time, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I read a book one time, it talked about, there was this community in Florida of like fairly rich people, and a couple big CEOs like Jack Welch, and just a bunch of people are super popular, super rich. Well, they all kind of lived there, and they started hanging together. And next thing you know, they became friends because they were all part of the same country club. And it was interesting that they were pretty successful people, but once they met each other, they all became more successful. And when they, because there was one person in the group who was like 3 times as wealthy. And next thing you know, the other 4 people became as wealthy as them. And then that person became 3 times more wealthy, and they all followed. And they were like, they were supporting each other, and they were challenging each other, and they were opening each other's eyes to what was possible. And that's what we do within this community by having varying levels of experience. We have people that are doing 5 houses a year, and some people are doing 50 houses a year. But when you see someone doing 50, your belief system becomes that you can do 50. And then you start working on building the business that'll allow you to get to 50 if that's what you want, or if you're focused on profit, doubling your profits. So I think confidence is big. Let's leave it at that since it's been like a half hour, but let's talk about one thing before we finish this up. What causes a lack of confidence? Because that was our question early on. What causes you not to have confidence? Like, what does a unconfident person look like? And what are some of the things they do that are really sabotaging their business and potentially their lives? Procrastination. I agree with that one. That's
outside influence from respected figures.
Expand on that some.
So like basically before I left my job, right, and I got into this full time, like people like my dad, like my mom, my brother, are all like, yo, you don't, what is this? Like, you're young, you don't know what you're doing. Like, pretty much that whole talk. So that created a very bad like framework kind of going into this, as far as like, it was a lot harder for me to like battle with with the choice that I made because I trusted these people's opinions, and then that started to create self-doubt and like lack of confidence in me until I actually seen it happen with my own eyes. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like the biggest determinant of whether you believe something's true or not is if you see it with yourself. Because like the only person you trust, I feel like the only person you can trust close to 100% is yourself. And then after that, all the respected people, like your parents, your teachers and stuff, you trust them like, you know, a lot, but you know.
But you've seen it with your own eyes, so even though they were saying, hey, don't do this is not a good plan.
Yeah.
And think about that at like a high level, right? Who is your number one community is our family, right? And at some level, we want their approval, right? Because we need the approval of our community. And our family is usually our most important community. And we want them to approve what we're doing, to support what we're doing. And ultimately, they have a hard time doing so when it's very different than the path they've taken because they don't understand the path. And a lot of people respond to lack of understanding with condemnation. Like, oh my God, it must be bad.
A lot of people don't realize they are in a fixed mindset. You know, how do you recognize you're in a fixed mindset?
There you go. What did we just discover? Christmas presents for both of your families. And mine, I think I've already given it to mine just for the record. Mindset books. I've got a bunch sitting right there. They're $8 a piece. Everyone gets a Christmas present. Mindset. You're like, hint, hint. Like, hey guys, like we need a better mindset around this. But I feel like one of my duties in my family is me to really change the trajectory of my family. Like we've never been rich, we've never been successful. I think we've always been just poor, kind of like lower middle class worker bees. And I would say now the three people like most important to me in my family right now is my mother and my uncle, are two people, and then I'm the third person. I guess me too. But they're actually entrepreneurial, right? They're working with me, and at some level, they're not employees, right? They actually get 1099s, and they can make more money if they do more, and they can make less money. They have opportunity to grow and do their
Quality
thing.
of life.
Yeah, quality of life, but it's a big change for my mom to go from a 30-year job, from Steve to go from being, doing his job for the same job for many years. These are big risks for them, but them watching me do this inspired them and allowed them to jump in. And I'm not telling everybody to hire family because, believe me, for my two great family members, I've had other family members work with me that weren't so great and did not work out. So I'm not going to tell you don't hire family members. Some people say you should never work with family. Well, yeah, you should never work with family that's not good. Right? Don't do it because it's they're close to home and it would be fun to work with them. Make sure they're actually skilled or have the quality that you need that position to have. And if that's the case, then family's amazing. But most of the time, our family does not have those. I was just very fortunate that the two positions that my family has filled, they were both uniquely qualified for. Mm-hmm. They had great minds for that. But with that being said, many of my other family members did not. And then I just put them in a position out of a need to be more connected. What's the best way to get our family to support us? Like get them to work with us, right? Enroll them into our business as a way of us trying to get their acceptance. And that's why a lot of times hiring family members doesn't work because we're really just trying to gain approval.
It goes back to confidence.
Yeah, it goes back to we're just trying to get more confident, right? Everything leads, like confidence drives like every decision that we make, and lack of confidence, like which we would gain because we don't get a support from our family. Now you have to create a new family, and that's the community that of people doing the thing that you want, and that becomes your new family. It's my vision to why I want to grow a mastermind, a community, and why is because like some level, I told you I think I'm an 8. Well, I think how I get to a 10 is to really build this community, and I think that's what will take me to my last level of mastery, which I've heard that teaching is the last level of mastery, and me sharing with the community, teaching, will get my confidence, because even today, as confident as I am, I still am chasing approval, confidence, and all the things that most of us want and we desire. And at some level, I just have less of it than most, obviously, because I do logically, but subconsciously, there's things that drive us, right? Insecurities drive us. So you made a great point. It was some really good stuff. What do you think, Rashaad, that is the number one thing, number one problem that comes from having a lack of confidence that you've seen in yourself, other people, whoever you want to share with?
Number one problem. I mean, it's kind of a reflection of what Delante said. I mean, if you got a certain community that's been there, a certain village that you grew up in, and then you say, they do one thing a certain type of way for years and years and years. That's all they know, and then you go to the village leader and you're like, hey, instead of hunting over here, let's go hunt over here. And like, for what? Why? Why are we hunting over there? Like we've never hunted over there. We never get results over there, and you feel confident that you can go hunt that over there in that area, but they don't, and that kind of unconsciously kind of like fucks with you a little bit, I mean, mine is the same as Delante's. Like I mean, well.
Yours is very different, by the way. I mean, what I'm hearing you say is that you are saying that you need the support of your leadership.
Well, it's weird.
You need to be empowered, not knocked down. Most people are knocked down for wanting to do or try something different.
It's weird because, like, when I bought my house, I did that on my own. I didn't, I did it on my own. Like, I felt like I could do it, the three major decisions, I've made, I made them on my own against others' opinions. Bought my house, joined the mastermind, quit my job. Three big decisions that I completely went left when everybody would say go right. I don't know, like, it's weird because I even though I didn't get the support that I wanted on, those decisions, I still did it anyway. I don't know. So in 2014, I did a lot of research on entrepreneurs and guys who were really successful. And one thing I realized was that, the common denominator that I realized is that all these guys that have this abundance of whatever it is, life, money, whatever, right? Whatever it is. Common denominator I realized is that they all literally were no different than me, right? They're literally no different than me. And so I asked myself, what if they were in worse situations or no different than me, why can't I have the same thing?
It's a powerful question. And I think that's the question that leads to you finding and discovering the answers. Is why can't I do it? What's, many, many great entrepreneurials. I mean, Elon Musk, okay, maybe we don't have his level of smarts, so I'm probably not going to create the next Tesla. But when we look at house flipping, overall, it's a pretty simple business. You don't have to have any kind of degrees to do it. You literally just need a little bit of common sense and work ethic and the ability to, to be able to kind of go with the roll with the punches and fix things as they come along. And I think most of us are equipped with that. I actually would even suggest that all of us are equipped with that. Now, some of us will never realize that in our life.
Or tap into it.
We'll never tap into it because, there's so many things. That way we were raised, insecurities, things we were told as a kid, things we were told as, in our relationships that just beat us down and make us have a lack of confidence. Mm-hmm. So we're circling back. It all comes to confidence. If you can gain a high level of confidence in this business, then your likelihood of being successful is extremely high. Right? And if you don't have confidence, I guess we'll come down what is the number one outcome? You're probably not going to make it. Because, see, lack of confidence is going to make you go and see the world in a way where you start looking for all the reasons the why you can't flip houses right now. It's too competitive. Everyone's paying too much. Everyone's fighting over the same deals. Money, okay, I don't have the money to do it. I don't have the time to do it. I'm not smart like Mike. Mike, yeah, you're not smart like me. I think that almost every single person I've ever coached has more education than me. I have a 10th grade education. I did go back and get my GED, so I am GED educated. So that's awesome. But you went to a great college, right? You went, I think, to the top college in Maryland and really a good college throughout the country, University of Maryland. You went to a great college too. You didn't go to a community college. These are respectable colleges you went to. And at the end of the day, what you learned in college is not what's making you good at this job, right? It's not what's making you good at this business. It's the confidence that you're gaining from watching someone else do it. And so I think that real life immersion and being able to like work with someone is what creates confidence. And that's, so this is a powerful subject. When we got on it, I had to pick up the recording and just like record this, because I want to really, like, I personally want to dive more into this subject, because I think so many times I've said, hey, let me teach you systems and let me show you how I do things, but not realizing what it was truly doing for the people around me. Is giving them the confidence to take action, the confidence to fight the fear of, am I good enough? The fear of like, what I think the number one fear we have is, what if we do it and fail? How, would the people around us who said we couldn't do it be right? And then would we be sitting and looking at, like, because the only way that we can like fight against our whole community, our family, who says like, don't do that, it's not the way you do things, because they're very much plugged into the matrix of working and the thing that everyone knows, the 9 to 5 essentially, is for us to do it anyhow and then be successful at it. Or we fail and then everyone looks at us and say, I'll come back to the community, you're welcome back, you're good. But at the same time, we know they're looking down on us. They know that now we're different than everyone else. So I think we fear that at a very big level. But if we make it, then the community, at some level, the community looks at us as possibly being the leader now. I think I'm the leader of my family. And even though I'm the youngest, I've done things that other people haven't been willing to do. And because of that, it's made me the leader. So we don't necessarily have to be the oldest, the wisest. We just have to be the ones willing to go out and make stuff happen and risk that we'll be rejected and all that. So that's the mindset, by the way. I feel like I'm plugging this mindset book. I don't make 88 cents a copy that you buy. There's no affiliation or anything, but the book has really changed my life in a way where it's talked about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And I realized that most people have a fixed mindset, and from a growth mindset, we're able to really accomplish anything we want. And if you're going to be in business, and be successful, you really need a growth mindset. You have to be willing to go test and try things and fail, and then learn from the failures and then repeat it and go over. So it's almost like we test, we track, we measure, and then we repeat it better, right? We improve and then repeat. And that's the process that we do in our business every day. And what does that give us? Confidence. Right? Awesome. And what does the lack of doing that give us? Less confidence or no confidence at all, right? So we can't take action. All right, I want to share this with you because this was a cool subject. It's something that the three of us, it's kind of a raw moment where this is unfiltered, unedited. We just were having a higher level conversation. I thought like the group, everybody would enjoy. So I wanted to record this and let everybody check it out. I think it'll be helpful. I'm sure that many people are having this similar experience of what we've all been through. We're all just in different places of the journey, but we're all on the same journey of building confidence, building community, building certainty, and really trying to meet our 6 human needs. So thanks for listening, and I hope this is helpful for everyone. Michael Green.